we are leaving Hinton, Alberta, and going south today. In about 50 miles, we'll be hitting the town of Jasper, which is pretty infamous for its beauty and quaintness of the town, but also because last year a lot of the surrounding area, Jasper, burned, and the town. So we're going to be riding through that today, and then the famous Icefield Parkway, which has glaciers, and I'm hoping to do a hike today on the way that I've done a few times called Wilcox Pass, where if you hike all the way to the top, you have this really amazing view with this glacier behind you. So hopefully that's in the cards today. It's supposed to rain later, but later in the day. I'm getting an early start, which is 8 a.m., which hopefully will get me to my destination, which is Golden, BC. So apparently we're in Alberta, we're going back into BC, where I'm going to spend 2 nights and doing another hike tomorrow called the Iceline Trail, or Iceline something, in Yoho National Park, I believe. And that's going to be supposed to be epic with views, and then some of the pictures I've seen looks pretty spectacular. So that's Sunday, and then Monday morning it's time to head south and head home. So it will take me 3.5 days probably, I'm guessing, depending on how many miles I'm doing a day. But that's the plan. And then I have to drive back up to Salt Lake to get my dog, which would be a 16-hour round trip in a car, of course. So yeah, some epic views today. I'm sure I'm going to be doing a lot of B-roll footage. You can see the mountains in the distance as they're approaching the Canadian Rockies. Talk to you in a bit. So I decided to bypass the town of Jasper, because I've been there several times, but you can really see the fire devastation here. That whole hillside and all these trees just burnt. And of course they'll regrow at some point, but it's going to take a very, very long time. But you can see where there's kind of the fire stopped kind of over there, because it's still green that way. But all of that must have been a massive fire. We're about to make the turn in a half a mile here onto the Icefield Parkway. And I think once we get away from Jasper a little bit, you can see all the trees here, both sides. Once we get down there a little bit, I think, I'm not sure how far south the fire spread. But it looks like, at least up to the north, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, I went down that ways, quite a ways. Wow. That was a year ago, I think, if I remember. You see some grasses starting to sprout up. Well, I'm sitting here just south of Radium Hot Springs, just south of Golden, Colorado, and headed home. I'm gonna jam it, hopefully 3.5 days, whatever it takes at this point to get back and restart my life and business. But it's been an amazing trip, and I'll have other check-ins along the way for sure. It's probably the end of the epic scenery, or at least break from the epic scenery. The border's about 140 miles from where I am right now. So, but yeah, pretty cool view behind me. And wow, what an amazing trip. And there's this sense of, anxiousness to get home and get back to your life, even though it's been a month. And an amazing trip in all areas. So I'll check in with you later. In Kalispell, pretty cool. No, we're in Whitefish. Pretty cool little town. On the way to Kalispell for some lunch, meeting Africa twin Mike there. And that will be our parting as he goes to Helena and I go south to Flag. Apparently there's a prison. There it is. That's this town is famous for. Cell Block Tavern, and I don't know much about it. I'll try to find out and report back. Alright, time to check in. Well, that was a big day. 500 miles or so. I'm now in the old Montana Inn with the prison, which is now a museum across the street. I guess there's still a prison within 4 or 5 miles, but apparently in 1871 that prison across the street was built as a territory prison before Montana was even a state. There was a lot of gold and silver craziness going on. So the prison has now moved 5 miles outside of town, but it's still in operation today. So that's the history behind this little town here, and they get a lot of tourism here. And the hotel was pretty nice, I gotta say. So I'm 2 days away from being home. It's bittersweet, of course. I've been enjoying this trip, being on the road, but all things must come to an end. It's been an amazing vacation, and I still have 2 days and still some cool scenery on the way, especially going through the Colorado River and North Rim area. Will be some great shots, and maybe I'll fly the drone around the Colorado, who knows. But it's been a long day, and I'm gonna crash, and I'll check in with you tomorrow. Well, this is the last night of the trip. Pretty sad. Tomorrow I will be home. Just 470 miles separate me and from my home. It's about a 7.5 hour day tomorrow. Today I did over 500. Long day, but at 80 miles an hour speed limit, it cruised pretty quickly. Went right through Salt Lake. Actually was pretty breezy coming through. Not too bad at all. I was kind of dreading it, but it turned out to be fine. But the heat was another story. It was 101 going through there according to my temperature gauge on my motorcycle. Pretty toasty. So I got in around 3:34, pretty early. So I've had a nice dinner, been resting up, and tomorrow heading home. I do plan to fly my drone over the Vermilion Cliffs area, so you'll see some footage there. And yeah, I'll shoot some shots kind of coming into my house. Full circle, it's going to be about 7,400 miles is the total trip, and 24 days. That's a lot. I think I've had 2 days where I didn't ride, maybe even 1 day I didn't ride. No, I think 2 days. 2 days, the entire trip I didn't ride. So not many days off. It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm beat and ready to just get back to life. And yeah, rest a little bit. But we'll check in with you tomorrow. Well, this is the last morning of my vacation. Time to go home, get my life back together. And start adding more episodes. That's definitely on the list. Cranking out some episodes, which I can assure you are going to be pretty awesome. It just ramps up the further we get into the trip. By the time you're seeing this, you'll already know that. So I got 456 miles to get home. And that'll be the end of the trip, essentially. pretty good weather day today. It's going to get hot here, but thankfully I'm heading south. So, as contrary as that may seem, it's going to get cooler. Not cold, but cooler as I get south and head into higher elevation. Got a really cool ride coming up today as I do 150 miles of this, and then I cut over to 89 and I head south, go through Panguitch, down through Orderville, and then Kanab, which is my old workplace. Used to work in Kanab for a very long time. And then I go through Fredonia, the entertainment capital of the West, if you're into buying meth, that is. And then over the North Rim, past Jacob Lake, and then I descend into the Vermilion Cliffs area where I hope to get some really cool footage there. And then after the Vermilion Cliffs, it's just a straight shot home on 89, across the reservation, through Cameron, past one entrance to the Grand Canyon, and then I ascend the hill up to Flagstaff. It's a little over 7 hours today of riding time, not including breaks, so my guess it'll be 8 or a little over 8 hours with stops and breaks. I'm in pretty good riding shape right now because I've ridden so much. And I'm looking forward to seeing my dog when I get home. That's exciting. He got home yesterday from the dog sitter, and really looking forward to that. And then unpack and do laundry and all the things to settle back into my life, sleep in my own bed. I really enjoyed it, though. I enjoyed being on the road, and just never know what it's going to throw at you. This is the town of Panguitch. Very small town in kind of central Utah, I would say. And Panguitch is known for being close to Bryce Canyon National Park. And it's not easy to get to, and it's not really near any other major place. The closest major, I'll say major in quotes, place would be Cedar City, which is a good hour and a half away. And I have a friend who lives here. He plays in the famous Center and Main band. I'm guessing they got that name from the main intersection I just went through. Thinking they could have done a little bit better on the name, but hey, what are you gonna do? But he's lived here for a long time, and yeah, the scenery around Panguitch is pretty epic. And the drive to Kanab, which is where I'm headed to now, is also pretty epic. So I'll be doing some filming definitely along the way. But we're pretty much out of Panguitch. That's how small it is. All right, we are entering Kanab, Utah. Elevation 4,500 feet. And I only know that because I used to work out of Kanab for about 6 years doing wilderness therapy in the Grand Staircase, and I used to commute from Flagstaff on my BMW GS 1200 Adventure during the summer months. Used to do back and forth and leave my car up here, and I would take that to the field. So I've done this route so many times on a motorcycle and in a car, of course. But Kanab is a small town. I'm not sure how many people. I'm going to say 8 or 10,000. But there's a lot of movie folklore here. Like there's a Gunsmoke set up on Johnson Canyon Road, and you can see the K way up on the mountainside ahead of us for Kanab. I think Utah does a lot of that, kind of putting the letters up on the town. But it's a cool little town. The Rocking Cafe, Rocking V, we just passed. That's a nice restaurant if you're ever in this town. And if you're ever looking for just a quick, hike here, which you'll get some elevation, it'll go up on those rocks up there. It's called the Squaw Trail. I've probably done that over 100 times. When I would come out of the field, I would just do it as kind of wind down my day. And it's great scenery. Gets you, I think about 1,000 feet of elevation or so, if I remember correctly. And yeah, it's a quaint little town. I wouldn't live here just because, being a single guy, there is no dating scene at all. But some people might like it. So I'm going to get some gas, get some lunch, and then I'm going to head for the final 200 miles in 3 hours or so time back home. This is the Vermilion Cliffs area. As you can see, those brilliant, magnificent cliffs. This is one of my favorite rides, I would say, in all of the country. It's so wide open and so beautiful, and we're in the vicinity of Lee's Ferry, which is a launching point on the Colorado River, and comes right on the outskirts of the Grand Canyon National Park. I was gonna fly my drone around there, but you can't. So I just took some footage around the Vermilion Cliffs. But I love how wide open this is, and I've done this route so many times. Like I said, I used to work in Kanab, and it never gets old. There's the colors, and it's so different than a lot of other scenery. You look out there and you can see the cliffs in the distance, and then we're going to kind of go left and do a slingshot. We're going to go across a bridge which goes over the Colorado River, which is another really cool piece of scenery. And having the Colorado River there, and you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you can kind of see where there's like a little carving out of the landscape over there, out that way. And that's the river. So that's the river's going to be flowing all the way across. But I just love this is how this road looks. I mean, I could film this entire section, which is about 35 miles once you drop off the North Rim to when it intersects with 89. This is technically 89A. If you ever are in this area and have the GPS will probably take you through Page. And you know, Page is cool if you've never seen it. It's got the Glen Canyon Dam there. But to me, this feels like you're way out there. I mean, with the clouds and the shadows. Yeah, and just how they hit the cliffs there. All right, we're approaching the bridge that goes over the Colorado. It's kind of a fun bridge to ride across. Nothing like those crazy metal bridges in Canada and Alaska, thankfully. It's just a normal pavement bridge. And then if you look to the left, there's another people go on, and there's a lot of condors coming around here. There's the footbridge, and there is the river. And this is kind of where we slingshot out and head back up to join 89. We're at 3,500. It's currently 104 degrees. So pretty toasty, I would say. But we're going to climb up to some higher altitude here to cool things down a little bit. Maybe mid-90s, that would be nice. Just how about under 100? So far on this trip, I've had temperatures as low as 42 or 43 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is the warmest, 104. That's a pretty big swing. And the suit that I'm wearing, it's a Climb Latitude, is Gore-Tex, so it's supposed to be breathable, and it does have a couple of vents, but it's hot. And my pants are black, which doesn't help. It's definitely toasty. So this is where like something like the Climb Marrakesh would be great, but not enough room to have both. Unfortunately, you just got to pick one, and I would say I definitely needed the Gore-Tex suit more than the Marrakesh. We are on my driveway. Full circle. And this road is the road where it all started, where I wrecked my KTM 790, and right around here, I think right around there somewhere, and fractured 3 ribs. So I'm taking it easy after doing pretty much another 500-mile day. That's 3 in a row. So I'm beat, I'm tired. It was 106 degrees going across the Vermilion Cliffs and the reservation. I had to stop at a gas station and just cool down and drink some more water, even though I have a bladder reservoir in my tank bag. It wasn't enough. I had to get cool and get some AC, so I was not feeling well. So here we are. No big puddle, so it hasn't been raining very much. The final half a mile to complete this 7,300 mile journey. And it's interesting because I was really worried about going over my service interval, and needing new tires on the road, and I'm going to be right almost exactly. I'm at 7,960 miles, and the next service is due at 8,000. So I've got 40 miles before it needs service. So I timed that perfectly, and that was also part of the reason I thought about initially trailing the bike to Seattle, was just to save some miles on the tires, and so I wouldn't have to take a day or even more to get new tires and get it serviced somewhere and along the way. So that worked out actually perfect. And now I get to go see my dog. I'm taking this slower than I normally would, just because I'm pretty beat and tired, and I don't want to make a mistake in the last 100 yards. All right, I'm gonna go get my dog from my neighbors. He's there with the neighbor dog as well. Pliskin. Hi, buddy. Hi. Oh. Hi there. Hi there. Come here. Oh, yes, I missed you. I miss you. I miss you. Well, that adds an epic journey. 7,300 miles in 25 days, I believe. It's a lot. 26 days, actually. 26 days. I was 2 days short of 4 weeks, but I didn't start riding until the 14th. So technically, riding days would be 24 riding days. But I'm going to think about some of the things that I loved about this trip. When you process, you get back and you have to get into your life and work and everything, but you want to keep that vacation buzz going as long as possible. So I think going through some of this footage of the videos is going to help me kind of stay in the moment a little bit of the vacation and the trip, and how many great motorcyclists I met along the way. I mean, everybody was just so friendly, and they just get it. They just understand the whole motorcycle deal, and it's hard to tell people or talk to people who just don't understand how difficult it is. Long days on the bike and this and that. So I just appreciate the motorcycle community. Everybody I talked to along the way, I saw some motorcyclists, I would just pull over and we just start chatting. And it was just really easy and natural. So I'm going to rest, hydrate, because 106 degrees coming through the last 100 miles. So I am wiped. And spend some time with my dog. And if you liked any of the episodes, please like, comment, subscribe. There will be more content coming soon. And I have lots of topics I want to talk about, including what went well, what didn't go well, what would I do again, what would I change, etc. So I appreciate that. And always remember to blaze your own path. See you soon.